The mockery, the great hall of the Galactic Council, buzzed with alien voices, each species speaking in their native tongue. Above them all, the massive holographic display showed Earth, a small blue world spinning quietly in space. Ambassador. Tom stood at the center podium, his simple black suit looking plain next to the colorful robes and armor of the other delegates. Honored members of the Council, Tom began, his voice calm but firm. Earth requests immediate action against the Red Fleet pirates. They have attacked our trade ships 17 times this month. Our people are dying. A low rumble of laughter filled the chamber. The Vex delegate, a tall creature with purple skin and 4 arms, shook his massive head. The humans want us to fight their battles now? More laughter echoed through the hall. The bird-like Kree ambassador fluffed her bright feathers. Perhaps Earth should build better ships instead of complaining to us. Tom's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice steady. We offer the Council a choice. Help us stop these attacks, or Earth will handle this matter alone. The room fell silent for a moment, then exploded with even louder laughter. The massive Titan, delegate, whose species was known for their strength, slammed his fist on his chair. Handle it alone? Your little world threatens the entire galaxy now? Earth has been part of this council for only 50 years, said the snake-like serpent ambassador, her voice dripping with scorn. You think your tiny fleet can do what our combined forces have failed to do for centuries? Tom looked around the chamber at the hundreds of alien faces, all showing the same expression, complete disbelief mixed with amusement. Some delegates were wiping tears from their eyes. Others were holding their sides from laughing so hard. The Red Fleet has over 10,000 ships, continued the Serpent delegate. They control 12 star systems. They have been the terror of trade routes for 300 years. And you, she pointed a clawed finger at Tom, think your primitive world can stop them? The Vex delegate stood up, his forearms spread wide. Perhaps we should send Earth a gift. Maybe some toy ships for their children to play with? The laughter grew even louder. Tom noticed that even the usually serious, crystal beings were making their version of laughter a high-pitched ringing sound that hurt his ears. Earth's entire fleet has what, 200 ships? Asked the Kree ambassador between chuckles. The Red Fleet would crush you before you even left your solar system. Tom waited for the noise to die down. When it finally did, he spoke again, his voice quieter now, but somehow more threatening. The human government has decided to give the Council exactly 72 hours to respond to our request for joint action against the Red Fleet. Or what? Shouted someone from the back of the chamber. Or Earth will demonstrate why humans earned their place in this council, Tom replied. This brought fresh waves of laughter. The Titan delegate was laughing so hard he could barely speak. Demonstrate? What will you do? Throw rocks at them. Your species barely discovered faster than light travel 60 years ago, added the Serpent ambassador. Some of us have been traveling the stars for thousands of years. The Red Fleet uses technology you have never even seen. Tom began walking toward the exit, his footsteps echoing in the large chamber. As he reached the door, he turned back one final time. 72 hours, he said simply. The laughter followed him out into the corridor. He could hear the Vex delegate making jokes about human stubbornness, and the Kree ambassador suggesting they send Earth a map so humans could find their way home. As Tom walked to his ship, his communication device buzzed. The message was simple. Fleet Command acknowledges. Operation Starfall is approved. All units moving to positions. Behind him, the laughter from the council chamber continued. The aliens found the idea of Earth taking on the Red Fleet to be the funniest thing they had heard in years. After all, what could one small world do against the most feared pirate organization in the galaxy? They were about to find out. 3 star systems away, the Red Fleet continued their raids, unaware that Earth had just declared war. Their leader, Captain Rex, was planning his next attack on a merchant convoy. He had never even heard of humans. In Earth's orbital shipyards, massive doors began to open. Ships that had been hidden in the shadows started to move. The human fleet was waking up, and it was much larger than anyone suspected. The 72-hour countdown had begun. The silenced Captain Rex of the Red Fleet stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dark Star. The massive ship was 3 tons larger than most vessels in the galaxy, painted black with red stripes that had earned his fleet their name. Through the viewing window, he watched his raiders return from their latest attack on a Kree merchant convoy. "Excellent work today," Rex told his crew, his scarred face showing satisfaction. "Those bird people never see us coming." The Red Fleet had been the terror of space for 3 centuries. They had started as a small group of pirates, but had grown into something much more dangerous. Now they controlled entire systems, demanded tribute from whole worlds, and even the mighty Galactic Council feared them. Rex's second-in-command, a brutal warrior named Kane, approached with a datapad. "Sir, the scouts report something strange. All the usual shipping lanes are empty." "Empty?" Rex frowned. "Define empty. No merchant ships, no cargo vessels, nothing. It's like every trader in this sector of space just disappeared." Rex studied the star chart on his main screen. For the past day, his scouts had found no targets. This was unusual. There were always ships carrying goods between the major worlds. "Maybe they heard about our last few raids," suggested Kane. "Got scared and took different routes." "Possible," Rex agreed, but something felt wrong. In all his years as a pirate leader, he had never seen the space lanes this quiet. Send out more scouts. Cover a wider area. Meanwhile, light years away, the Galactic Council was dealing with their own mystery. Ambassador Tom had not returned to the council chambers since his dramatic exit 3 days ago. Several delegates had tried to contact Earth, but received no response. "The humans have gone quiet," reported the Vex delegate to an emergency session. "Their embassy staff left the station yesterday." The Serpent ambassador coiled nervously in her chair. Perhaps they realized how foolish their threat was and decided to hide in shame. But the Crystal delegate, whose species was known for their logic, seemed troubled. "This silence is not typical human behavior. They are usually very talkative." "Who cares what the humans are doing?" laughed the Titan delegate. "Let them sulk. The Red Fleet is still out there, still attacking our ships." What none of them knew was that human ships had been moving through space for the past 2 days, but not where anyone expected. Using routes that avoided all the major shipping lanes, the human fleet had positioned itself in the dark spaces between stars. Captain Rex received troubling news from his scouts. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we're getting strange readings from long-range sensors." "What kind of readings?" "Energy signatures, sir. Lots of them. But they're not from any known ship designs." Rex studied the sensor data, his experienced eyes trying to make sense of the patterns. "How many signatures?" "That's the problem, sir. The computer keeps changing the count. First it said 50, then 200. Now it's showing over 1,000. 1,000? Rex's blood ran cold. No fleet in the galaxy had 1,000 ships in one place. Even the combined forces of the Galactic Council barely reached that number. "Sir," another officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission. It's on all frequencies." "Put it through." The main screen flickered and showed the image of a human in a simple military uniform. The man looked ordinary, not particularly tall or strong, with graying hair and calm eyes. But something in his expression made Rex's crew fall silent. "Attention, Red Fleet," the human said in a voice that was neither loud nor threatening, just matter of fact. "This is Admiral Blake of the Earth Defense Force. You have been found guilty of piracy, murder, and crimes against humanity. You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally." Rex laughed, but it sounded forced even to his own ears. 1 hour? Who is this fool? The human continued speaking. If you choose not to surrender, Earth will demonstrate why we were granted membership in the Galactic Council. You will find that humans have been busy during our time in space. The transmission ended, leaving Rex staring at a blank screen. Sir, his sensor officer called out, his voice shaking. You need to see this. The main display changed to show their long-range scanners. Dots of light were appearing everywhere, hundreds, and thousands of them. They formed a perfect sphere around the Red Fleet's position, trapping them completely. How many ships? Rex whispered. Computer shows 5,000 and counting, sir. Rex felt his legs go weak. 5,000 ships. That was impossible. No one had that many ships. Where had they all come from? In the silence of space, a human fleet waited. ***. The demonstration Admiral Blake stood on the bridge of the Terra Nova, Earth's flagship. Around him, his officers worked quietly at their stations, checking weapon systems and shield generators. Through the massive viewing window, he could see stars scattered across the darkness of space, and somewhere among them, the Red Fleet waited. Admiral, reported his tactical officer, Commander Stone, all fleet groups are in position. The Red Fleet is completely surrounded. Blake nodded, checking his chronometer. 58 minutes had passed since his ultimatum. In 2 minutes, the Red Fleet would learn what humans were capable of. Any response to our surrender demand? Blake asked. Negative, sir. Long-range sensors show they're still moving in attack. Formation. Blake wasn't surprised. Pirates like the Red Fleet had terrorized space for centuries because they believed they were untouchable. Today, that belief would die. On the Red Fleet flagship, Captain Rex paced his bridge like a caged animal. His officers watched him nervously, waiting for orders that didn't come. Sir, Kane said carefully, what are your instructions? Rex stared at the tactical display showing thousands of human ships surrounding his fleet. It made no sense. Earth was supposed to be a minor world with a tiny fleet. Where had all these ships come from? It has to be a trick, Rex muttered. Some kind of sensor illusion. Sir, our scouts have visual confirmation on at least 300 enemy vessels, reported his sensor officer. They're real. Rex's mind raced. Even if this was real, his ships were battle-tested veterans. The Red Fleet had never lost a major battle. These humans might have numbers, but they were newcomers to space. How good could their weapons really be? All ships, Rex commanded, prepare for battle. We'll show these upstart humans what real warriors can do. The hour was up. On the Terra Nova, Blake received word that the Red Fleet was powering up weapons. He felt no satisfaction, only sadness. This could have ended peacefully. Fleet command to all units, Blake spoke into his communicator. Execute Operation Starfall. Rules of engagement. Disable enemy ships when possible, but protect yourselves first. These pirates have killed too many innocent people. What happened? Next would be talked about in military academies for generations. The human ships moved with perfect coordination, like parts of a single massive machine. They didn't charge forward in a wild attack like most species would have. Instead, they executed a complex battle plan that surrounded each Red Fleet. Ship with multiple attackers. Rex watched in shock as human vessels appeared on all sides of his flagship. Their ships were sleek and silver, nothing like the bulky designs most species used, but it was their weapons that truly surprised him. Incoming fire, shouted his weapons officer. Rex expected the usual energy beams or missile attacks. Instead, the human ships fired something entirely different, beams of pure light that seemed to cut through space itself. When they hit Red Fleet vessels, the results were devastating. Direct hit on the Bloodhawk, reported Kane, his voice filled with disbelief. Sir, their hull is just gone, cut clean through. Rex stared at the tactical display. The Blood Hawk, one of his most powerful ships, had been sliced in half by a single human weapon. The crew was evacuating in escape pods, but the ship itself was finished. Return fire, Rex ordered, all weapons. The Red Fleet fought back with everything they had. Their plasma cannons and torpedo launchers filled space with deadly fire. But the human ships moved like dancers, avoiding most attacks while continuing their precise strikes. Sir, his communications officer called out, the Dark Wing is reporting that human weapons are cutting through their shields like they don't exist. Rex couldn't believe what he was seeing. Red Fleet shields were military grade, stolen from the best manufacturers in the galaxy. How were human weapons penetrating them so easily? The answer was simple, though Rex didn't know it. Humans had spent their 50 years in the Galactic Council studying everyone else's technology. They had learned the weaknesses of every shield design, every weapon system, every tactical doctrine used by the major species. And then they had built something better. Admiral, Commander Stone reported to Blake, enemy formation is breaking. Apart, 43 Red Fleet vessels have been disabled. They're starting to surrender. Blake watched as escape pods launched from damaged pirate ships. Each pod was immediately surrounded by human rescue vessels, the crews taken prisoner but kept alive. Sir, Stone continued, Captain Rex's flagship is trying to run. Blake sighed. Let him try, but make sure he doesn't escape. In the depths of space, the Red Fleet terror of the galaxy for 300 years was learning what it meant to face humanity in battle. The reckoning captain, Rex gripped his command chair as the Dark Star shook under human weapons fire. Around him, his bridge crew worked desperately to keep the ship running, but it was a losing battle. Hull breach on Deck 7, shouted his damage control officer. We've lost main engines. Rex looked at his tactical display and felt his heart sink. Of his original fleet of 10,000 ships, fewer than 2,000 remained active. The rest were either destroyed, disabled, or had already surrendered. The human fleet hadn't lost a single vessel. How is this possible? Kane asked, voicing the question everyone was thinking. Rex had no answer. In 3 centuries of piracy, the Red Fleet had never faced anything like this. The humans fought with a precision and coordination that seemed impossible. Their weapons cut through the strongest armor like it was made of paper, and their ships moved like they knew exactly where every shot would be fired before it happened. Sir, his communications officer called out, we're receiving another transmission from the human admiral. Put it through, Rex said, his voice hollow with defeat. Admiral Blake's face appeared on the screen again, but this time Rex could see the bridge of the human flagship behind him. It was clean and organized, with officers working calmly at their stations. No one looked excited or bloodthirsty. They were just doing their job. Captain Rex, Blake said, his tone remaining professional, your fleet is finished. Surrender now, and your remaining crews will be treated according to galactic law. And if I don't? Rex asked, though he already knew the answer. Blake's expression didn't change. Then we'll finish what you started when you decided to prey on innocent people. Rex looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. These were hardened pirates who had never known fear, but now terror was written clearly in their eyes. They had seen what human weapons could do. Sir, Kane whispered, maybe. We should never. Rex snarled. The Red Fleet doesn't surrender to anyone. But even as he spoke the words, Rex could see more of his ships giving up. Escape pods were launching from disabled vessels, and human rescue ships were collecting them with mechanical efficiency. Meanwhile, news of the battle was spreading across the galaxy at light speed. The first reports reached the Galactic Council station just as the fighting entered its final phase. Impossible, breathed the vexed delegate as he read the latest intelligence reports. The Red Fleet is being destroyed. The Serpent Ambassador coiled and uncoiled nervously. There must be some mistake. Humans don't have the technology for this kind of warfare. But the Crystal Delegate, whose species valued logic above all else, was studying the tactical reports with growing amazement. The human battle plan is perfect, she said in her ringing voice. They identified every weakness in Red Fleet doctrine and exploited them simultaneously. But where did they get so many ships? Demanded the Titan delegate. The Crystal Delegate continued reading. According to these reports, humans have been building a secret fleet for decades. While we thought they only had 200 vessels, they actually constructed over 6,000. 6,000? The Kree ambassador's feathers stood on end. How did they hide them? They built them in the outer regions of their solar system, in the asteroid belt and around the distant planets. Our intelligence networks never looked there because we assumed humans were too primitive for such construction projects. The reality was even more impressive than the Crystal Delegate realized. Humans had indeed been busy during their 50 years in the Galactic Council, but not just building ships. They had studied every battle tactic used by every major species, analyzed every weapon design, and learned from every military mistake recorded in galactic history. Then they had created something new. Back in the battle zone, the Dark Star finally lost its last engine. Rex watched helplessly as human ships surrounded his flagship from all directions. "This is Admiral Blake," came the voice over the communication system. "Captain Rex, your ship is disabled and your fleet is defeated. For the last time, I order you to surrender." Rex looked at his remaining officers. Kane was wounded, but still at his post. The others were barely keeping the ship's life support running. They had fought bravely, but it was over. "All ships," Rex said into his communicator, his voice heavy with defeat. "This is Captain Rex. Stand down. Cease all combat operations." The words felt like poison in his mouth, but there was no choice left. "We surrender," he whispered. Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. The Red Fleet, terror of space for 3 centuries, had been completely defeated by the humans in less than 4 hours. Asterisk. The new reality. 3 days after the battle, the Galactic Council emergency session was unlike any in the organization's history. The Great Chamber was packed with delegates from every member species, all talking in hushed, worried voices. "Ambassador." Tom walked to the center podium, the same spot where he had been laughed at just a week earlier. This time, nobody was laughing. Every eye in the chamber was fixed on him with a mixture of fear, respect, and curiosity. "Honored delegates," Tom began, his voice carrying clearly through the silent hall. "The Red Fleet has been defeated. Their remaining forces are in custody, and their stolen goods are being returned to their rightful owners." The vexed delegate, who had mocked Earth so loudly before, now spoke carefully. "Ambassador Tom, the Council would like to understand. How did Earth accomplish this?" Tom smiled slightly. "We did exactly what we said we would do. We handled the matter ourselves." "But the numbers," protested the Serpent Ambassador. "Our intelligence suggested Earth had only 200 ships." "Your intelligence was looking in the wrong places," Tom replied calmly. "Humans learned long ago that the best defense comes from preparation that nobody expects." The Crystal Delegate spoke up, her voice ringing with logical precision. "Our analysis suggests your fleet used weapons technology unknown to current galactic science. Will Earth share this technology with the Council?" Tom's expression became more serious. "Earth believes in cooperation, but cooperation must flow both ways. For 50 years, we requested help dealing with piracy. For 50 years, we were told to handle our own problems." He paused, letting this sink in. "So we did, The Titan delegate, massive and imposing, leaned forward in his chair. What does Earth want now? Control of the shipping lanes? Tribute from other worlds? Nothing like that, Tom answered. Earth wants the same thing we've always wanted: peaceful trade and mutual respect. But we will not tolerate attacks on our people or our allies. Allies? The Kree ambassador's feathers ruffled nervously. Tom nodded. Any world that requests Earth's protection will receive it. We have discovered that sometimes the only way to ensure peace is to be prepared for war. Across the galaxy, the news of Earth's victory was changing everything. On merchant worlds that had suffered under Red Fleet attacks for generations, people celebrated in the streets. Trade route insurance costs dropped by 90% overnight. Ships that had been hiding in port for months began moving cargo again. But not everyone was celebrating. In the military headquarters of the major powers, admirals and generals were having emergency meetings. If Earth could build a secret fleet of 6,000 ships, what else might they be hiding? If human weapons could cut through the best shields in the galaxy, how could anyone defend against them? The balance of galactic power had shifted overnight, and nobody was quite sure what it meant. On Earth itself, Admiral Blake stood in his office, overlooking the rebuilt cities of his homeworld. Through his window, he could see the orbital shipyards, where new vessels were already under construction. The victory over the Red Fleet was just the beginning. Sir, Commander Stone entered with a data pad. We're receiving formal requests for protection from 47 different worlds. They want human ships stationed in their systems. Blake nodded thoughtfully. What's our response? The government wants to accept them all, sir. They say it will establish Earth as a major galactic power. Blake studied the list of requesting worlds. Most were small, peaceful planets that had suffered under pirate attacks for years. They weren't asking for conquest or control. They just wanted to be safe. Approve the requests, Blake decided, but make it clear that Earth protects those who cannot protect themselves. We're not building an empire. As news of Earth's new role spread, other developments followed quickly. Several major corporations moved their headquarters to human space, seeking the security that Earth's fleet provided. Trade agreements that had been stalled for years were suddenly approved. Scientists from across the galaxy requested permission to study human technology. The species that had laughed at Earth's ultimatum were now very eager to be friends. But perhaps the most important change was simpler than politics or technology. Throughout the galaxy, when pirates or raiders threatened peaceful worlds, they now had to ask themselves a new question. What if the humans find out? For the first time in galactic history, the predators had become the prey. And in the depths of space, where new human patrol ships moved silently through the darkness, the stars themselves seemed a little brighter, a little safer. The age of human protection had begun. The end asterisk